Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everyone. This is Michael Connor with the Early Learning Division, and I'm welcoming you to our September Early Learning Division webinar with the Oregon Head Start Pre-K directors. I'm happy to have on the line with me here Teresa. How are you, Teresa?
I'm very good this morning. It's kind of nice to see the school buses on the streets again.
It is fantastic, and it's cloudy here in the valley, but we're looking forward to some sunshine later. I see on the from the field we've got Paul coming in from the Gorge, Cary in North Central. I bet it's warm out there, and we're glad everyone's here. I think Lindsay's going to be here in a little bit, but let's go ahead and get started. Teresa, I think you're going to be up first, but let me just say Gwen is not able to come today. Lindsay's here. Yep, go ahead.
I was just going to say the same thing.
Lindsay's here, but working on the tech. I don't know that Gwen's going to be able to join us. I think that Tristan is out east. Donna said she'd call in, but she's on the road coming to Salem, so who knows about that. So I can guarantee you, almost guarantee you, a fairly short webinar today. Let's keep going here with Teresa.
Okay, so just to get started, we're in the process of setting up a program expenditure report for EGMs. I know I talked about it a couple of months back as being something we would have with claims. We're still finalizing the process for that, and I hope to get a draft out to everyone by the middle of next week at the latest. Instead of, typically we do an annual expenditures report, and then we have that year 2, quarter 2 expenditures report. But we're also finding that there are some questions we get asked throughout the program year. So we are trying to pull together something that will help us answer more questions as the year goes on. It's not going to be detailed. I believe when I talked about it a couple of months ago, I let you know that it was going to be just really high-level budget categories and not down into the did you buy a new piece of playground equipment. So let me get a draft out to you guys on that so that you can send me back any questions that you have. And again, I'm looking at the middle of next week for that, but it might show up sooner. Monthly reports for 2019-2020. I just want to remind you that we have new fields added to the monthly reports. Nothing onerous, but we are breaking down your slots into not just state and federal, but regular, the short day or duration. So there's going to be a couple of extra breakdowns to answer for those on a monthly basis. OPK data collection is still going on. We have about another 2 weeks on that. If you have not gotten your data collection completed, and this is not the PIR, this is the ODE data collection for student and models. Please let me know if you're running into problems so I can either help you myself or direct you to the right place for help. I would love to see 100% compliance the first time around this year. Last year I had to open it up again in December to collect some outliers. So, and I know programs have had staff changes, and so I always assume that somebody's going to need a little extra assistance. The last thing is viewing site and service workbooks. I've sent a couple of programs who've requested it some links to get into site and service workbook reports. I'm finding that some programs are able to view and some are not, and so please be patient while I try to work the bugs out with the programs who aren't so that I can figure out what's going on. I just want to make sure everyone has access to their data, but not to the entire data pool of information. So you will be seeing those roll out from me as soon as we have them ready. What we're going to be doing for that is we're using Smartsheet still, as you well know, And we are creating a dashboard for your program that will house all the links. So all you'll have to do is go to that dashboard in order to retrieve all the different reports. So it's kind of one-stop shopping for your program. In the future, we might be adding some other information to that dashboard, so stay tuned as we look at what information will be helpful for programs. And unless there are any immediate questions, I think that's it for me today. Oh, by the way, the Cubs keep beating the Mariners, and I just want to throw that out there for Michael.
Yes, yes, how caring of you to say that. Hey, I think you've got one more slide here, partner. Is that what you were talking about?
You know what? I bet I do.
Okay.
I had forgotten about that. Show me my next slide.
I think I am. Wait for it. Wait for it. Try that.
Oh, thank you. There we go.
You got it. You got it.
I'd forgotten that I put a sample up there. So when you receive a site and service workbook, when you receive a dashboard, this is a portion of what will be on the dashboard. So Albina is an example because we have sent theirs out. And each of these listed items with their cute little notebooks next to them are links to the report for each one of those types of data that you input. It's going to be an opportunity for you to review that data. Let me know if there are corrections that need to be made. And the goal moving forward is that in the future, we're going to be able to give you access to do data updates instead of re-inputting data every year. Now, I know we've talked about that in the past. It's still a goal. I'm trying to make this one easier for everyone. So when you see this picture that's in front of you right now, that will be the beginning of your dashboard. Thank you, Michael. I'd forgotten I put that sample up there.
That's just fine. That's just fine. And I'll just slide in for my little piece here. I want to remind you all that the required submissions that were due last week are submissions, get this, that are required. I know, it's a crazy name that we have for this section. So here's the list of items. You can find this, of course, in the Dropbox where there's a document labeled required submissions. But we need these. We need these to pay you. So that's kind of where we're at. If we don't have this stuff, we're not able to, in good conscience, dole out the cash. So we want to support you if you're stuck, if you need an extension, if you need some help. That's something we want to hear about. If we haven't received these and we haven't heard from you, then that makes us cranky. Well, it makes the finance people cranky. So the PIRs, I know there was an issue. I believe that issue has been corrected. We need your budget workbook where you've explained how you spent last program year's money. We need your current budget workbook saying, here's the plan to spend the money with the amount of money that we've indicated you'll be getting. Now, I know that money is going to change due to the legislature's action. Teresa is working hard on getting those digits out to you for amendments, but we need a budget that is based on the status quo funding. We need your site and service workbook filled out, which says here are where the classes are going to be. Here's the model that each classroom is going to have. Here are the teachers and their certifications. Here are the waivers that we need. We need a submission that says here's our school readiness goals that's required by the Head Start performance standards. We need an org chart, and an org chart is not only just how you organize your shop, but who is doing what. So sometimes we get these sort of generic organization charts which say director, and then it says ed coordinator, and then it says teachers or something like that. But we actually need to know who's doing what. Your most recent annual report, you can send us a web link. Easy for you to say, a web link if you want, because that tends to be a big document. But sometimes I believe the way that the performance standards read is that we need the annual report within a year of the most recently completed year. So I think if my math is right, a 17-18 annual report would be acceptable, but before that is not acceptable. We need the audit that you've done within a year, and like that. And then I'll also mention that before, if you go back to that document, before this August 30th date, were some other dates, other items, including MOUs with other Head Start programs where you're detailing non-overlapping service areas. A friendly reminder that Oregon state law says you cannot overlap. You cannot overlap. And we have to work hard to prevent supplanting from one program to another. So we need those, and without those, it makes it difficult for us to justify to finance that we're paying you for the job that you say you're going to do, because you haven't actually told us what you're going to do with the proper documentation. So don't mean that to be a scold. We're happy to assist if you're feeling stuck, but seriously, as I say in the text here, these are due. Let us know if you're stuck. Let us know if you need an extension. But if we don't hear from you and we don't have them, then we can't dole out the cash. That was your friendly and loving reminder from Michael. And I'll just keep going then. I did want to pass along this resource from the Harvard Child Development Center, whatever they're called, Center on the Developing Child. This is a really wonderful 8-minute video on play and its role. What I like about it is that it's appropriate for both teachers and parents, because it really makes that homeschool connection obvious. It really encourages playful learning by parents. Many times, as you all know, when parents are coming in, they're very anxious about academic gains that their kids are going to be experiencing, and they tend to focus on that. And so giving teachers and family advocates the tools to be able to shape that conversation, so we can say to parents, yes, we are going to support your child's intellectual growth. And one of the main ways we do that in school, and we'd like to have your help on doing that at home, is through play. You probably play with your kids, and you can't play with your kids too much. And this video really talks well about why play is so important, how it's connected to school readiness goals, and what a nice way to start the year with an emphasis on playful learning. So I commend that to you all. It's the links in the slides, but I thought for pre-service, for policy council, for professional learning communities, potentially a really nice resource to get the conversation going in a healthy way as we start the year. And with that, I think I'm going to turn it over to Lindsay Pearson.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me okay, Michael?
Yes, indeedy.
Great. I had joined the webinar earlier as a participant, so I had no control over anything and could not unmute myself, but I got the right link, so here we are. So I don't have a lot to go on about. I'm just going to mention a bit about a project that we are taking on that's really exciting. Well, we are not taking it on. We are working in the middle of working with our tribal partners, or the tribal governments of Oregon, to come up with a tribal transition, kindergarten transition project, which is, well, I'll explain it. So the first activity, there are 4 activities, and the first one being community engagement. So hoping to get some recommendations from each of our 9 federally recognized tribes on how we can best serve their children when transitioning to kindergarten. And the second is a program model review, which is a landscape of things that are already happening in Oregon as well as across the country. We have some really great tribal partners, or really great education departments working with their tribal partners in Washington and Montana. And we are in contact with them, trying to learn more about their process, which is great. The third is some guidance documents that support educating school districts and early learning professionals on best practices for transitioning tribal kids, and how we can best support their families in moving from, either whether they're in our Head Start programs or in their own tribal Head Start programs and how they move into kindergarten. And then the last is an activity of choice. So it's a self-determined activity. And this is actually something I'm pretty excited about because it allows each tribe to, if they choose to, come up with something that either is something they're already doing related to the transition to kindergarten or something new that we, haven't thought about. So that's pretty exciting. It's our first attempt at funding the tribes directly. And so we're really hoping that this provides us an opportunity for not only funding them in different ways, maybe for slots or something in the future, but also for developing somewhat of a partnership between our Head Start programs and our tribal Head Start programs. So stay tuned and let me know, or reach out to your neighboring tribe if this is something that you're interested in participating in or knowing more about. And you can reach out to me as well if you have ideas or if you're interested in learning more. The last thing that I was going to say is that I sent out a doodle poll email on continuing the conversation about trauma healing and resiliency supports. If you did not get an email, I lost all of my notes because my computer was stolen out of my car, and somehow my OneNote it didn't update. So I all of my notes from previous hadn't transferred. So I sent out an email to some folks hoping to figure out a time attached to the OHSA Directors Conference. Either an hour before or an hour after the conference, to just kind of continue our conversation, talk a little bit more about data and kind of maybe get some solid next steps. If you did not receive an email, please let me know. Send me an email. If you wanted to be part of that conversation and I did not get you the doodle poll, please send me an email so that I can get that out to you. I did my very best to remember everyone who was interested. So my best and my brain are not always the most reliable things, so please let me know if I missed you. And with that, I think that's all I've got, Michael.
Great. I mean, not great, great. Yeah, I think we're good. I think the next time we're going to be together in person is in October in the glorious Central Oregon. We've got the list of the webinars here. Remember, by overwhelming mandate from the directors, we are having webinars in those months that we are not seeing each other in person, where there's not a director meeting or a conference. So abbreviated webinar schedule, but I think this is going to work well. Appreciate people being in communication about challenges, about excitements. I had a really nice talk with Stephanie and team in Salem, just thinking about school readiness goals and class and how to make all that work. We like conversation that doesn't always have to be some deliverable deadline thing. We just like to hear what's going on and maybe offer some ideas and learn more about what's working and what's not in your program. So we'll see you in October, and I think that brings us to a merciful, effective, efficient end to our webinar today. Just got a moment here in case anybody put something in the question box. Otherwise, I'm going to declare victory and wish you all well. Be in touch. Do good work. Oh, somebody's got their hand up. I'm excited about that. Wonder who that is. It's Donalda. Donalda, let me unmute you here. Hi, Donalda.
Hi, you had mentioned something about a cost of living increase. Have those gone out?
Right, so the inflation adjustment by the legislature is a little bit more than 3%. As I mentioned, Teresa is working on the numbers. As soon as we have the numbers, we'll be sending out those grant amendments. I don't know if we have an estimate on those. Do you have an estimate on that, Teresa?
An estimate on the timeline?
Yeah.
My goal is to turn in the documentation that we need to procurement by Friday at the latest. I had to stop and think about what is today. Today's Wednesday. By Friday at the latest, which means we'll have signatures from everyone here that we need it from. And then it will just depend on how long it takes for it to get assigned and then procurement. So once we have everyone here sign off on that, I'm okay with us giving you the numbers, knowing that it won't be in your EGIMS accounts until after the amendments are executed.
Okay. Well, that would be helpful, just
Yep.
to know what we're working with.
Right on. Right on. Thank you, Donalda.
Yeah, we appreciate it. We just are eager for it.
Sure. Yeah, if the legislature did that, and as we mentioned last webinar, ELD made the decision to push all that money out to programs, so we're not pulling any of it back, and we're we're allocating to you all of the 3 plus whatever that number is, all of the increase in this first biennium, because we're expecting that next year with the Student Success Act, we're going to have significantly increased budgets for you around transportation and salary and so forth. So we're hoping that this year is going to be a little bit of breathing room. We know that pressures on salaries are big, and we're eager to get our own work going. We have a really big agenda for this fall and early winter around figuring out how we're going to structure our grants so that salaries have kindergarten parity. Have to figure out the system for programs to request money for transportation. We're going to have a system for folks requesting duration slots that are going to be new, and other kinds of expansion and conversion to early Head Start. And wow, it's going to be an exciting year. The October director meeting, Gwen's going to be there helping us to lay out, or us helping her to lay out the ELD agenda and the way that we're going to engage with you to make sure that we're doing good stuff. And I'll also say that we have approval to the folks at the Research Institute at Western Oregon University. They're the ones who helped us with the extended duration pilot in terms of making class observations and giving you all feedback and trying to help you. So they are going to be contracted with an agreement to produce what we're calling an extended duration playbook, which is going to kind of take some of the lessons learned from our pilot around staffing options, around finance, around curriculum options, family engagement, and so forth. So we'll have different chapters that sort of sum up what we learned and offer you all hopefully some good resources and advice on how to do extended duration and do it well. I know a lot of you are doing extended duration already, and that's great. And maybe some of your systems or some of your components you're feeling really solid on, and there's no need to change it. On the other hand, there might be areas where you're really trying to figure out how to take advantage, how teachers can take advantage of that extra time. As you know, we found that the class scores in general tended to go down in the afternoon. So we're curious about that. We're wondering why. Is it because teachers are tired? Is it because the kinds of activities they're doing are not promoting good interactions? We're not sure yet, but the playbook will help us to answer those questions. So that's another resource that we're working on, in addition to the class guide, which as soon as we regain access to our own website, there's a story there. We're going to be posting the class guide so that as a resource to help programs use class for program improvement. So a few things more to talk about, but thanks for that question, Donalda. And not seeing any other hands raised, I'm going to wish you all a happy September. See you in a month. Thanks a lot.